Well, Framber Valdez goes 7 innings with 9 strikeouts, and Kyle Tucker gets another couple hits, a home run, but it's not enough as the Astros fall to the Tigers 6-3. We're going to talk about this, the good, the bad, and the ugly, on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Alvarez hits a high drive, center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner, fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Instagram and Twitter. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Positive, I'm not going to freak out. Always Stros.
Alrighty, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And if you bet that the Detroit Tigers would take the first 2 games of the Astros series, you probably have a serious gambling problem and you probably need to seek some serious help. But that's what happened. And it seems like these young kids for the Detroit Tigers have just become Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, Ted Williams, all these guys all at once. And it's kind of, if I was a Tigers fan, I would be very excited from what I'm seeing right now. But this is against our Houston Astros, the team that's supposed to be going back to the World Series again this year. I'm not worried about it, but you know what I am worried about? Why have you not subscribed to the Locked On Astros podcast on YouTube?
Exactly.
Just go do it. Just right there. It just says subscribe. Go and hit the big thumbs up button and go and give us a like while you're there. And go and listen to us on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out the Locked On Astros podcast.
So, Eric, this was one of those games where you would like to go, okay, only if we had Altuve, only if we had Michael Brantley. But look, and then you would probably say, well, we had Jolks, we had Myers, we had Dubon, we had Maldonado. But from Tucker, Jolks, Myers, Dubon, and Maldonado, you collected 7 of your 10 hits. Came from the bottom of the lineup. Jeremy Pena, a big 0 for 5. That was a little bit surprising how undisciplined at the plate Pena is. I don't know if he's not seeing the ball well. I do remember being at the World Baseball Classic when it was the Dominican Republic versus Israel, and that's when Jeremy Pena actually got his first hits of that entire tournament. And then he really kind of woke up when he went to spring training. It was almost like, okay, he hit a few home runs. I'm like, this is a Jeremy Pena we need. And he was leading off. Well, he's batting 160 right now. And Bregman's batting 167. Now, Bregman was 3 for 5 last night. He's 1 for 3 tonight. He almost went around home with a round tripper with a home run that did not go over the fence. And so, look, at the end of the day, the Houston Astros are simply struggling. And we can blame the World Baseball Classic. We can blame the pitch clock. We can blame a whole lot of things. We can blame, well, Justin Verlander's not here. Well, Justin Verlander is not even healthy right now in New York, so he wouldn't be helping us anyways. You simply have to go out in these games and you have to scrap across runs. Every club that we play is going to be motivated to beat this team, and the Astros do typically start slow. But let's look at the positives here. What are the positives? Framber Valdez, 7 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, and 9 strikeouts, only 1 walk, okay? So I like what Framber Valdez did on the mound today. He looked good. He looked solid. And what have the starting pitchers not done up to this point? They haven't gotten out of the 5th inning. So that's really good. You're actually muted. There you go. No. Yeah.
They haven't gone deep in games. That's the problem that the
Exactly.
Astros have faced. And if you look at the bullpen is worn down. And this is something that Dusty Baker has asked. They said in the future, they wish in April we can have a 27-man roster just so you can have an extra arm. But you see what Framber Valdez, he was good tonight,
Yeah.
but he was not great. But he went in there and pitched 7 innings, and he was not coming out. And Dusty Baker was not going to go out there and take him out. But he did a good enough job to get the job done. He threw 103 pitches. He only allowed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hard hit balls the whole night. So overall, it was a good night. 1 walk, 2 earned runs. I think they did classify that one as a hit.
Well, he gave up 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, and that's what I was talking about. That he went 7 innings. He didn't fall off in the 5th. But again, the relief pitching has been less than stellar. Stanek and Martinez came in and did not do great. Stanek gave up the 2 runs. Martinez gave up the run late. And this was the staple of this team was their pitching. Their starters give you a quality start. Their relievers come in and close the door, and the rest is history. Yesterday's 6-7 loss would have been a 6-3 win last season. The 3-6 loss tonight probably would have been a 3-1 or 3-2 win last season. And it is early, and it is the first week of March. So we are not, the first week of April. Well, I went back in time. So we are not panicking right now. Look, Kyle Tucker is still hitting the cover off the ball. He is 2 for 3 today, hitting 300, gets another RBI, gets another home run. He is looking to get paid this next year. And Eric, I think if Kyle Tucker continues to shine when a team is slumping, continues to hit, continues to deliver in the field with his glove, this should put some urgency and fire under the rear end of the new GM of the Astros, and they need to figure out a way to sign him. Quit telling me that you're going to wait till the offseason to sign him. If he continues to perform in the midst of a team that is like kind of not doing great, that to me is the signs of a character of a guy that I want around my baseball club and representing my city for years to come. And I know there's Gilbert in the way. I know there's Pedro. I know all the names, but Kyle Tucker is that guy. And I think each day that he does well, he's cementing the reasons why he should. And the more he gives you, the more he's going to want. So get him while he's as cheap as you can and spend as less money as you can, but keep Kyle Tucker in Houston. Let's start getting that pay the king. That's why I started that hashtag on Twitter.
Well, granted, last time this year, the Astros were 4-2 instead of 2-4, but it was a little bit different situation, as Trev brought up. After 16 games, they were 7-9, and then they started kind of making comeback 8-9, 9-9, and then they kind of took off from there. So yes, we don't need to overreact.
Right.
What we do need to look at what's the obvious. Everybody sees it, whether it's the beat writers, the opposing team. The bottom of the lineup is not very good. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why didn't Dusty Baker pinch hit for Maldonado? I believe it was in 9th inning in Monday's game. And then he had a situation in today's game, but he did not. But the case, I think Dusty said that there's something that they were planning, and so they couldn't pinch hit for him at that time. And so the thing that they're planning for didn't work out. But Dubon did get a hit today. Myers did get a hit, 2 hits today. Corey Julks got 2 hits today.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of production from the bottom of the lineup, but that's better than you've gotten.
But you got 7 of the 10 hits from Tucker, Julks, Myers, and Dubon. That's 7 of your 10 hits. So people can say what they want about Julks and Myers and Dubon, or, they don't want those guys in there, but they're the guys that hit. Jeremy Pena, your leadoff hitter, was 0 for 5. So it's not the bottom of the lineup that's the problem. It's your leadoff hitter that's not leading off. Jeremy Pena can't go 0 for 5 with a strikeout and 3 left on base with the 160 average against the Detroit Tigers.
To his credit, he did have some hard hit balls that were just right at players.
I love hard hit balls,
Those
but
are
hard hit balls don't win baseball games.
Right.
Hard hit balls and expected batting averages and xWOBA and all these advanced stats that the baseball.
Okay, Jeff Bagwell.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know.
Those don't win championships. You don't win off of what you were supposed to do because the ball had a high exit velocity. I don't care about that. The ball has got to touch the ground and be in play, and the players have to get on base. And so the bottom of the lineup performed tonight. They did their job. It was the rest of the lineup and the relief pitching that didn't do their job. You win as a team, you lose as a team. It's never one single player, but you have to look at everything as a whole, and everything's not clicking. But you know what is clicking is when you go to somewhere like FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one sports book here in America. And when you are going to FanDuel and you are looking at placing a bet for the NBA playoffs, you got to go here. Why? Because new customers get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 off. That's bonus bets back if your bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line to 3-point scores and threes drained. You know, they just wrapped up the NBA season and we're about to go into the playoffs. So now you have a chance to combine your bets for a bigger chance to win a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
So I guess this would be considered, since March Madness is over, this would be considered Cinderella team coming in and upsetting the favorites.
Yeah, Eric, this would be the 16 seed beating the 1 seed. Okay, the Tigers aren't going to win their division. Again, look, if you look at the AL West, it is literally flipped upside down. It is a bizarro world. It's the Angels and the Rangers in first and second. The Astros at 2 and 4 are in third. That's the state of the AL West. Oakland's 1 and 3, and Seattle is 1 and 4. You're going to take that and you're going to flip it upside down, and Oakland I think will fall even further. And you're going to have Houston up. You're going to have Seattle up. The Angels and the Rangers are going to battle for third. And look, I don't believe the Rangers are the real deal. But the Rangers, I think, are going to be more competitive than what I'm willing to give them credit for. I still don't think they make the playoffs, but they're going to scrap. They're playing better baseball, but they are 3-2. I mean, the whole league outside of the Rays, well, the Rays, the Indians, and the Twins all have 4 or 5 wins. The Twins just lost their first game of the season. So there's some hot teams right now. But don't take the temperature right now of this team right now with where they are on April 4th. So, but it is frustrating though, Eric. These are games we're supposed to win. These are games that are for sure wins. And I keep telling people, oh no, they're going to win the next 2 games. No, they're not. Someone on here is like, they're going to get swept. I'm like, no, don't say that. Tomorrow's a noon game. They're giving away the Alvarez World Series ring. So that'll be cool for fans. Hey, go to get a ring and hope for a win, right?
And they're also going to have the pregame ceremony for Miguel Cabrera, who is retiring. So definitely Jose Altuve will be there to celebrate that because that was a big thing.
Oh, that's true.
And no, I saw that, Steve. I do not think that Julks will be leading off. I think that is something that if there's a shift, it's going to be Tucker, but I just don't see them doing that. I think
it would be Tucker or Bregman are the only 2, Eric, that I would put leading off because Baker's actually kind of mentioned Bregman in that spot. To me, Tucker is your kind of ideal guy right now because he's so hot. But
he's doing good where he's at. And you need, if you put Pena and he's struggling at the back of the lineup right now, what are you going to do? Now you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's
Pena all the way to 9. Put Maldonado 8.
Pena's going to be fine. He's making hard contact. He's maybe, if anything, maybe there's something wrong with the hand. Remember
this is weird. This is weird. Maldonado's hitting 200. Pena's hitting 160. I know it's early.
I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about any of these batting
Okay,
averages. The
I
only
I
thing I'm
know.
worried about is the fact that, I mean, I'm not even worried about it, but the fact that how good that Yordan Alvarez is doing. Before today's game, he was 6 for 17 with batting 353 with 2 homers and 9 RBIs in 4 games this season. So that was impressive. He didn't get a home run today, but he was overall he did pretty good. I think he got a hit. Yeah, he got a hit and he did strike out one time, but his OPS is still 1058. Kyle Tucker's OPS is 1062. Jose Abreu extended his hitting streak to 6 games. His OPS is 829. And then you got the rest of the story, which is not good. And Bregman is slowly creeping up to 167, almost to that
Well,
Mendoza
hey,
line.
1 for 3 and 3 for 5. I mean, that's a lot better than 0 for 18 or
Yeah,
0 for 16. So Bregman's going to figure it out. Bregman said in the first few games his timing was off.
right.
He wasn't in sync. When Bregman gets in sync, dude, he is an absolute beast at the plate. He's the guy you want there at third base. Hey, I just want to say this. Tonight I recorded a podcast with Uncle Dale, and if y'all watch, there's a show on TV called Out Daughtered, and Uncle Dale he's kind of the fun uncle on the show. This is a TLC reality show based here in League City, Texas. And him and Vaughn had me on their podcast tonight. And I just want to thank them for having me on. That was really cool. We talked Astros baseball. We talked about Locked On Astros tonight. And he was asking me, hey, so do we worry about the Astros? Is this just kind of the April blues? And I said, yeah, look, there's not a whole lot to be read into this, but you do want your relief pitching to start performing better. I did snap a picture of this because I didn't know if it was anywhere in the notes, and I knew, Eric the Man Huysman usually has it all together, but the Astros actually lead the league in most runs scored from the 7th inning on with 13.
With 13, yeah.
So there is something there. Like you want to know that you had that ability to score runs late. So once the bullpen starts holding, once the starters start like producing fewer runs on the board, and then the hitters start hitting consistently, you know you have the ability to score late, and that's key come playoff time.
Well, if you look at who pitched on Monday night, everybody pitched in the bullpen except for Seth Martinez and Ryan Stanek. Both those guys got in today's game, and it wasn't good for them. Stanek gave up that was a majestic home run. Oof. And then you also had Seth Martinez give up some runs as well. Gave up another run. No, sorry, Stanek gave up the 2-run homer. That's what it was. And then you had Seth Martinez come up and give up 1 run. But their ERAs are inflated a little bit right now. And I don't know if Dusty Baker sensed something maybe in the playoffs last year, since that something was off. That's why he didn't really want to use them that much. But Stanek seems a little bit off so far, but the bullpen's being overused. And so I think once you see the starters go deeper into the games like today, you only had to use 2 relievers versus 6 of them. Like
versus 3, 4, 5, or 6. Yeah. Right. And that is not ideal. And so that's why I led off talking about how you can't blame the pitch clock. You can't blame the bottom of the lineup. Look, this is baseball and it's going to happen. It's a storm you have to weather. After tomorrow's game, I like what Blummer said at the end of the, at the end of the broadcast. He said the Astros would like to get a win so that they could rest, so they could travel, because I believe they're going to Minnesota, and one of the games has already been moved.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Yeah,
because of weather. But you want to end, and my whole point is you want to fly out of town on a good note. You can't win the home series. You've lost that, but you would rather leave on a winning note rather than on a losing note. Just things are a whole lot better traveling that way.
Yeah, 3 and 4 is a lot better than 2 and 5.
I agree.
Any GM would say that. I mean, the smartest GM be like, yeah, I'd rather be 2 and 5 than 3 and 4, because that's a long plane ride up to Minnesota. And then you're going to have an off day. And you know who's really excited about the off day? The bullpen. The bullpen needs a day off. They're like, Dusty, man, we're good, but we need some time off, man. So we'll talk about that in a second. But this episode is brought to you by Ultimate Pro Baseball GM.
That's right. Pro Baseball GM is the coolest game that I've played in a long time, and I've always thought that I could be a Major League Baseball GM. Well, it turns out it's not all that easy. If you've had the same thought that I have and have fantasized about managing your own franchise, well, go download the Pro Baseball GM immediately. Like right now, go do it. The game allows you to manage every strategic aspect of a franchise, playing through seasons and leading your franchise and fans to glory as you build a historic dynasty. In that simulation, basically, you're responsible for this: hiring the right coaches and staff, manage team finances, scouting and drafting players, manage through difficult personalities and injuries, navigating your franchise through free agency and all the ups and downs of a season. All this is a challenging and realistic game world. Ultimate Baseball GM is completely free, playable offline, play on the go as you want and when you want. And like I said, look, you got to know how to spend your money with the Ultimate Baseball GM. You also got to know how to keep these guys happy. You've got to train them. You've got to incentivize them. And you really kind of have to meet their needs or demands for their contracts, but don't overpay for them, because if you do and you don't get the results you want as a team, that could doom your fate. So don't do what I did and just throw all the money at the players, because I just want to pay everybody because it's not my money. But this is what I want you to know. Locked On Astros listeners will get 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. That's right. So you can make sure to check it out. To download the game, just go to probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today.
Thoughts by Dusty.
Alrighty, so this is a very long quote. You ready?
Okay. No, it's not.
Right now, not much is going good for us. Thank you.
See, I've learned when you say it's a long quote, I thought it was gonna be like 2 words. That's baseball.
Yeah, but basically, yeah, nothing's going right for the Houston Astros right now. If you talk about Alex Bregman rounding first base because he thought that was a home run, he plays the Crawford boxes. I always say crawfish because I used to write for them, but the Crawford boxes. But it obviously hit off the little sign underneath it, or the little outs. Yeah, I think it's advertising sign.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, I watched it over and over. It to me looked like it hit the yellow bar, and
no, it hit on top of the little thing. It may have bounced up and then hit the yellow, and then
so is the rule, if it hits the yellow line anywhere and stays in, it's a home run, or does it have to hit the yellow line and go out?
It has to go out.
Okay, see, I think it should be a
no, but
if it hits the yellow line, it's a home run.
It has to hit the yellow line first.
Right.
Then,
okay.
So if it hits the yellow line, but in that case, it would have bounced off something and hit the yellow line and then went back in play. So I don't think that's it.
Yeah. So, hey, I like this comment, Eric. I just want to get this in here. Brendan Bennett said, baseball isn't about winning every game. It's about how you bounce back from losses. It's what we need to do. That's it. That's a great comment. And that's why we're saying, that's why Eric is saying, that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, that was above the yellow line. So it has to be above.
Okay, above the yellow line. So that's why we're saying, look, right now, it's not a time to panic. I think it is a little concerning, but remember, we warned you on this show, 2023 was not going to be the same as 2022. And for them to replicate what they did in 2022, 2 years in a row, is highly improbable. Even though they're still, I think, the odds-on favorite at the end of the day to win, the longevity, who they have, the cast of characters they'll have once they're healthy, you're just going to have to go through some of these things. And they're not going to trade for any massive names out there. They might, I think, go out if they continue to struggle. If their pitchers don't perform the way they want them to, I can see them getting another solid arm. But look, right now, you might wonder, how long are they going to wait for someone like Dearden to come up? Dearden's hitting 333 right now in AAA. Pedro Leon I think he's had a multi-hit game in every game that he played in. I don't know what he did tonight in their 6-3 loss, but those guys are clearly staring down the barrel of the major league roster. And so you do have guys that if they get hot, they would be on the ready to come up. And who knows, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle with one of these guys debuting this year.
Yeah. So I know that's always an option, but let's talk about what's important for us right now.
Okay.
We were exposed to have baseball on Thursday, then off day on Friday.
Right.
But because Minnesota, their weather decided to be almost freezing on Thursday. They're going to go ahead and move the game to Friday
Hold
instead.
on, hold on. Is this how Minnesota people talk, or is this
I
how
don't know.
Eric
It's a
thinks
mix of
Minnesota people?
country and
Okay,
Minnesota.
Eric. So this is a hybrid country Minnesotan accent. I know people from Minnesota. They don't sound like that, Eric.
No.
This is your version of it.
This is just me being silly right now. But Dusty Baker says that the postponement helps our pitching. Duh, Dusty. You need a break. Your bullpen needs a break.
Dusty's like, can we get 2 days off?
Yeah, don't you know? Yes.
Don't you
That's from
know? There you
Fargo.
go. That's more Minnesota. Good job, Eric. But in all seriousness, why did they not put a roof on their freaking field? Why?
Target can afford it. I'm kidding.
Well, no, I'm just saying. Like, gosh, up north, come on, guys. Look, I get it. It's a classic game. Baseball's an outdoor game, but it freaking snows. The stadium was covered in snow the other day. Put a roof on your field. Come on.
When the snow comes down, you just got to play the baseball.
Okay. Now that was Minnesota Adam Sandler.
Yes, I know. I was trying to do that.
I love it.
Alrighty. So on Friday, it's going to be Jose Urquidy versus Sonny Gray. And it's going to be very gray in the sky because I don't think it'll be snowy. But on Saturday, it's going to be Luis Garcia versus Joe Ryan. And then Sunday, it's going to be Hunter Brown versus Tyler Mahle, or I don't know how you say his name.
I say Mahle.
Mahle, that's probably it.
But
so,
look,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
And the game Friday will be 3:10 p.m. And I don't know if that's going to be central. I guess it's central time because both
central.
Both games are central.
Minnesota is central.
Don't you know?
Don't you know? Gonna go out and get some pop.
MZ thinks I'm be canceled for making fun of.
Oh, dude, I know people from Minnesota. They are the coolest, most laid back people in the world. They would totally get a kick out of it.
So yeah, so overall, I think that we shouldn't panic too much. Like last year, at least we're not getting crushed. I was looking at the results from last year. Game 7 last year, we lost to the Seattle Mariners 11-1. Odorizzi pitched. Right. Odorizzi pitched that game, and it was a disaster. So
the Odorizzi slander was real. The Odorizzi anxiety was through the roof. But hey, speaking of pitchers, Eric, Lance McCullers Jr.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look, we want to talk about positives. He said on his efforts to bounce back from strained right forearm muscle, he's feeling good, back to 90 feet, throwing back-to-back days, high intensity. I think I'm probably ahead of schedule right now where I was a few weeks ago. So if he's ahead of schedule, that's a good thing for the Astros. The Astros aren't going to rush him back, but that's a positive thing. Because look, I think Lance McCullers could come in here if he was healthy, feeling good, and I think he could throw like a shutout because when he's got his stuff together, he is absolutely filthy. We need a healthy. It's
going to take some time for him to get back. And I got a great quote from Dusty.
Thoughts by Dusty.
So Dusty Baker was asked about Alvarez's start after essentially having no spring training. He said, "It's probably one of the most awesome things I've ever seen." And asked if he's surprised how fast he started. Oh, sorry, this is Alvarez. Sorry. I guess Chandler Rome asked this to Alvarez. He says, are you surprised how fast you've started? And Alvarez looked at him and said, "Are you surprised?" That's how cocky this guy is. And so that's great.
But, Alvarez is just that guy. He strikes the fear in the heart of every opponent. Everybody I talk to that's a fan of any other team that we play, they're like, that's the guy we want on our team. We can't believe you got him for Josh Fields. And Yordan Alvarez being the fastest to 100 home runs in Astros history, being in elite company like he is with Stanton and Judge and Trout and all these guys, it's truly phenomenal. And, we talk a lot about Kyle Tucker getting the MVP this year. And we talk a lot about other guys getting MVP awards in the past. Yordan Alvarez could easily throw himself into the mix to get an MVP first place vote or 2 or 10. I'm just saying he's going to have that kind of year. Eric, I really think, I don't know if you've seen the chart, but there was a Twitter post from a friend of mine. He does Soul Without Sports on YouTube. He showed the amount of home runs that were being like just hit out of the ballpark. And he's like, Goldilocks ball is for everybody. So he said the last time we had this kind of outpouring of home runs, Bregman hit 30 plus home runs. And I agree with his statement saying Yordan Alvarez could easily get 55 plus or 60 home runs this year. I just think the sky's the limit for this offense once they start firing on all cylinders. But right now, Yordan, Tucker, Abreu are your constant bats. I can't wait to see Brantley and Abreu in the same lineup. 2 professional hitters going toe-to-toe with each other against the team. I mean, we're going to see a lot more runs scored once we get the heart of our team back and once Brantley comes back.
Yeah, once this team gets healthy, I'm not worried about the offense. It's just right now, I think I saw on Twitter, somebody said skeleton lineup. The Astros have a skeleton lineup, especially without David Hensley. David Hensley's a guy to make contact. I like Jolks. Jolks looks pretty good so far, but Diaz, he's shown some potential, but he still hasn't put it together at the plate yet. So the Astros have a bunch of unknowns right now. Then you have the top of your lineup. And this reminds me a lot as a former T-ball Little League coach. This reminds me of a Little League roster where you put all your good players at the front of your roster, and then you have the rest of them at the back. And I'm not saying that Jake Myers and Martin Maldonado are out there picking flowers or anything like that. But,
so that is like how you're like, look, as a former not big league coach, as a former T-ball league coach, let me tell you, I know what it's.
So anyway, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Don't you know, we got to say goodbye till tomorrow. And apparently Minnesotans, they go ahead and make extremely long goodbye, and they can't just say goodbye. They go ahead and draw it out long, and they keep on saying the same thing over again.
All right.
And say, goodbye, Brett. And they say goodbye, all their listeners. And make sure you go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify. Don't you know, wherever you listen to your podcasts, check out the Locked On Astros podcast, and hopefully we'll get a win tomorrow because the Astros desperately need one. Not desperately, but they probably want one for a plane trip to Minnesota because it's cold up there, and they want to take care of business. And that's all we got for this edition of the extremely long Minnesota goodbye. And
good. Okay. And insane.
Bye. Good stress.
Lord.